Okay, Assalamualaikum. Alright, so for the first chapter, it will be the review for the basic statistics that I mentioned you before this, that you should know a little bit about the basic statistics in order to proceed with the probability and statistics. Alright, so for the introduction of the statistics, okay, uh, you should know that statistics is a science that involves the efficient use of numerical data relating to groups or individuals. Okay, it related to the process. Okay, the statistic is the process of collection, analysis. We have the researcher collect the data, analysis. The researcher will analyze it, and interpretation of the data. And from the analysis that we have done, the researcher can interpret the data. That is the statistic, the process of the statistics. Okay, and then using the statistic also we can presenting the data using the bar chart or the visual, any other visual aids. Alright, so that is the introduction of the statistics. Okay, as you know, we have two types of statistics, which is descriptive and also the inferential statistics. Okay, descriptive statistics involve of collecting the data, which is the researcher will do the survey, the banci or experiment, and then from the data that we have, we can presenting the data using the graph or chart or any other visual aids, and then we describe the data. For example, we can calculate the mean. Okay, then we can describe ataupun interpret the data, the mean, from the data that we collect. That is the descriptive. Sehingga presenting the data and describe using the mean, median, mode and variance sahaja. That is the descriptive statistic. Okay. So untuk inferential pula, it is in depth of the statistics, which is we can drawing the conclusion or making decision concerning a population based only a sample data. Okay, so dalam inferential statistic, we only take the data, the sample data, but we can conclude about the entire population. That is the inferential. So because of that, daripada sampling teknik yang kita buat, kita boleh proceed kepada inferential. If we only doing the survey, just buat bancian untuk kesemua for all the population, we cannot proceed with the inferential sehingga descriptive sahaja, sehingga kita boleh present the data using graph and chart sahaja. But if we only take the sample from the data, okay, we can represent all the population. Itu dipanggil inferential statistic. Okay, we can make the decision or we can conclude the entire population based only a sample data. Okay, itu adalah beza descriptive dan inferential. Descriptive sehingga presenting the data using graph and chart ataupun calculate sehingga sample mean, median, mode dan juga variance. Tapi inferential, we can draw the conclusion. Contohnya, the other stage adalah we can find the correlation, or we can find the relationship, we can find the regression, or we can forecast the data. Itu adalah inferential statistic. Okay, that is the two types of the statistics. Okay, so the basic terms in statistics that you need to know, or you need to familiar, this is the some of the terms. Okay, which is the element. Element adalah object on which a measurement is taken. Okay. Yang kedua adalah population. Population adalah collection of element of all the individual or object of interest. Semua sekali adalah population. All the population. All the people, all the animal, all the students, itu adalah population. Let's say nak buat research dekat UiTM regarding the student CGPA. So the population will be all the students in UiTM Kota Baru contohnya. Okay, the element adalah student. The population adalah all student in UiTM Kota Baru. The sample pula adalah a portion of or subset of the population. Hanya sebahagian daripada population dipanggil sample. Contohnya population tadi all the students in UiTM Kota Baru, but the sample only student statistics. That is the sample. Only the portion of the students. Portion of the population. Okay. Alright, itu adalah beza antara sample dan population. Okay, the next one adalah census. Census adalah study of the entire population ataupun bancian lah. Bila kita buat bancian, kita buat survey untuk entire population. But kalau sample survey, only some selected segment of the population. Okay, parameter and statistic adalah a summary measure. Untuk parameter, a summary measure for the population. Statistic, a summary measure for sample. Okay, contohnya we want to find ataupun measure using mean, median and mode. Okay, boleh kedua-duanya, kita boleh cari mean, median and mode. Untuk population pun boleh, untuk sample pun boleh. Untuk population, we can use all the data. So, ianya dipanggil parameter because of we use all the data untuk cari mean, median and mode. Kalau kita gunakan hanya sample sahaja untuk dapatkan mean, median, mode, itu dipanggil statistik. Okay, nak membezakan, to differentiate between these two, biasanya kita gunakan the different symbol, which is untuk parameter. Kalau mean, dia punya simbol dia untuk parameter for mean adalah mu, kan? Untuk median dia ada mu tilde ke atas tu, mode dia ada mu cap ke atas tu, kan? So kalau statistik, dia punya median, mean, simbol untuk statistik when we measure the mean of sample, dia punya notation ataupun simbol adalah X bar. Kan? X bar. Itu adalah beza antara parameter dan statistik. Alright? Okay, alright. So the next one that is the important term that you need to know adalah variable, which is the characteristic of the population under study, which may take different values. Okay, variable adalah characteristic of interest. Apa yang you nak kaji, itu adalah variable. Contohnya tadi, you nak kaji, let's say yang tadi kan berkenaan dengan we want to know about the student CGPA. So CGPA itu adalah variable. Alright, so contoh lainnya adalah weight. Apa yang you nak kaji, benda yang nak kaji, weight or gender or age. Okay, itu benda yang you nak kaji, itu adalah characteristic of interest, itu adalah variable. Okay. The next one is data. So many of you dah tahu data adalah observation or information that have been recorded. And then last kali adalah pilot study. Adalah study done before actual field work is carried out. So usually we will doing the pilot study to test the questionnaire. Right. Okay. And then we have two types of sources of data, primary data dan juga secondary data. Primary data adalah data that is collected from the person who is doing the research ataupun researcher. The researcher will collect the data through survey or interview or experiment or direct observation. Itu adalah primary data. Data yang diambil secara direct. Okay, secondary data pula adalah data that gather from other resources such as report, published data, journal, newspaper, bulletin, research paper and so on. Any other data that can get except from the primary data. That is the secondary data. So we have some advantage and disadvantage of the primary and secondary data. So that one you can read in textbook, or later I will give short notes about this chapter. Okay, so this is the important one, which is the type of variable. Because of you need to differentiate between these two type of variable, is because of when you want to calculate ataupun you want to find the probability of the variable. It depends whether your variable adalah discrete ataupun continuous, because of it will have the different method to find the probability. So actually variable we have two types, quantitative and qualitative. Qualitative adalah variable that measure with non-numerical scale ataupun categorical response, which the example is gender. Kan, gender, lelaki perempuan, we cannot measure using numerical scale. Race, car, colors, okay, colors of eyes. So that is the example of qualitative variable. Okay, quantitative pula adalah measured on the numerical scale, okay, which is the numerical response. For example, age, weight, number of siblings, any other variable that can we measure using the numerical scale. So quantitative ni ada dua pula, which is a discrete dan juga continuous. Untuk probability, we only deal with the quantitative lah. Okay, untuk numerical scale. Okay, untuk discrete, okay, for example, for a discrete quantitative variable adalah numerical responses arise from counting process. Okay, contohnya number of siblings, counting. Contohnya apa lagi? Number of cars, number of house ke, number of students. That is the discrete, arise from the counting process. But different with the continuous, it is arise from measuring process. Contohnya height, weight. Okay, benda ataupun variable yang can be expressed dalam decimal places will be the continuous. Discrete tak boleh express dalam bentuk decimal places. Contohnya tadi kan number of children, tak boleh kata anak ada 2.5 orang anak, tak boleh. Number of siblings, tak boleh ada 1.5 siblings. Okay, that is the beza antara discrete dan continuous. Yang paling senang you nak beza adalah discrete, counting process, tak boleh express dalam bentuk decimal places. Continuous, measuring process, can be expressed ataupun can be measure using the decimal places. Okay, so these two difference of discrete and continuous is very important for you in order to find or calculate the probability of the variable. Sebab untuk discrete, you untuk cari probability, you just boleh add ataupun sum up, but for continuous you need to integrate, okay, using the integration. Okay, level of measurement. We have level of measurement, maksudnya untuk variable lah. Variable level of measurement. Level of measurement untuk variable. Kita ada 4, whether nominal, ordinal, interval or scale. Okay, nominal usually which the number or letters are assigned to objects serve as label for identification or classification. So biasanya nominal ni untuk categorical data. So untuk kualitatif data lah. Contohnya gender, race, religion. Ordinal pula adalah scale that can be arranged in orders. Okay, ordinal. So it is arranged in orders ataupun ranking. Benda-benda yang kita boleh order adalah ordinal level of measurement. Contohnya education level kan, kita ada PMR, SPM, diploma, sijil kan, certificate, diploma, degree, master, PhD. So itu adalah in ordering process. So kita tak boleh katakan ianya adalah kategori data, ianya actually adalah ordinal data. Okay, let's say kalau apa lagi, qualification kan, maksudnya third places, second places, first place. So that is also the ordinal scale. Okay, not the nominal. Nominal ni untuk kategori yang kualitatif but cannot be arranged, cannot be in ranking. Itu nominal. Kalau ordinal dalam bentuk ranking. Okay, interval and ratio yang kita biasa kita gunakan adalah interval dan ratio. Kalau nominal dan ordinal hanyalah kita boleh buat dalam bentuk graf sajalah. Kalau nak kira, nak calculate, the scale of measurement for the variable should be interval dan ratio. Okay, interval is like ordinal level, but the difference between the two data values are meaningful but cannot be manipulated with multiplication and division. For example is temperature. So kalau temperature, ianya adalah interval, which is 0 means sejuk kan. Kalau ratio, 0 means tak adalah, kosong. Kalau interval, 0 ada makna. Okay, contoh paling biasa, contoh yang terdekatnya adalah temperature lah. Okay, ratio adalah starting point of this scale, cannot be negative value. For example, body weight, income, number of children. Okay, ratio scale adalah the strongest scale of measurement. So kalau scale of measurement yang ratio, banyak benda lah yang boleh kita buat. We can analyze the variable using the varieties of method. Okay, the strongest one adalah ratio, the lowest one, the weakest one adalah nominal. Okay, alright. So in order to collect the data, kan data semua yang kita dapat tu, in order to analyze the data that we get, analyze using the inferential statistic, we need to do the sampling technique. Sampling technique ni maksudnya we select the sample from population. Kita hanya ambil sebahagian sahaja. Okay, so we can use the sample data untuk represent all the entire population. So we need to do the sampling technique, and then the sampling technique ada dua, ada probability dan juga non-probability. Okay, so yang lagi elok, the strongest method adalah probability lah, sebab ianya not biased, and every element ataupun every person or object have chance to be selected as sample. But for non-probability sampling technique, it tend more bias. Okay, so untuk probability sampling technique, we have simple random sampling ataupun SRS, systematic sampling, stratified, cluster, multi-stage. Untuk non-probability technique, we have convenience, judgmental, quota dan juga snowball. All of this actually you will face again in subject sampling technique. ada satu subjek yang khusus untuk sampling teknik, ada dinamakan sampling method. Okay, so for now I just mention you that the probability sampling technique is the strongest one. So the method that usually used by researcher adalah cluster dan juga stratified and also SRS. So usually ramai yang guna cluster dan juga multi-stage. But for the non-statistician researcher, biasanya ramai yang gunakan non-probability sampling technique, which is the convenience sampling. Okay, so actually all this technique have the advantage and disadvantage. So later I will give you short notes about all of this sampling. You can read all about that. Okay, dalam textbook pun ada juga sebenarnya. But in details, you akan belajar lagi dalam sampling teknik nanti. Okay, a little bit briefing about the data collection method. Data collection method adalah cara you nak collect the data. Okay, let's say you want to doing the survey, you have the questionnaire, kita dah select sample tadi, let's say gunakan SRS ataupun gunakan cluster sampling technique. Kita gunakan cluster sampling technique, kita dah ada daripada 100 population, using the cluster sampling technique kita ambil hanya 20 sahaja contohnya. So how we can collect the data of 20 sample ni? Okay, kita ada beberapa method of data collection. Okay, the strongest one adalah face-to-face interview. Okay, face-to-face interview means that you pergi jumpa the respondent and you ask the question using the questionnaire provided. That is the face-to-face interview. Ada lagi method-method lain yang kurang memberangsangkan, yang kurang mendapat response rate, which is the telephone interview. It can be direct observation, direct questionnaire ataupun mail questionnaire, kan? It also can be the method of data collection method, but the very high response rate adalah face-to-face interview. Okay, the last one adalah designing the questionnaire. Okay, that this is the beberapa tips ataupun step how to create a good questionnaire. Okay, this one you have learned in basic statistics, and you will use again in subject research nanti when you want to collect the data and doing the project. Okay, so I think you can read by your own for the designing of questionnaire. So the important one dalam review of the basic statistic ni adalah the terms tadi, what is variable, what is population, what is sample. Okay, beza antara parameter dan statistics. Okay, and then the type of the variable. Macam mana you differentiate between quantitative variable that is discrete dan juga continuous. Because of, it's very important because of later you need to find the probability of discrete variable and probability for continuous variable. So it's very important for you to determine whether that variable is for discrete or continuous variable. Okay.